We have learned a lot of information about Nod-Krai in the last few weeks. The new information from mavuika and this event NPC can tell us a lot more about what's happening there and even shed some light on the history of Teyvat. And spoiler alert, Dottore might have some new test subjects, so let's get into it. Let's start with the information from mavuika. The second Fatui Harbinger Dottore has his base of operations there. Earlier in the archonquest, when mavuika broke the sky briefly, few of Dottore's subordinates infiltrated Natlan, which led us to believe that he is studying the ancient moon remains beyond the false sky. The people of Nod-Krai can also use a mysterious power that predates that of elemental powers, and that there is a project that connects the Doctor, the ancient moons, and this mysterious power. Now, what about the latest and greatest information? This little kid, Helka, in the recent event on the Trail of Behemoths, is from Nod-Krai looking for information on combat data on some monsters, and she tells us some very intriguing info. First, a group called the Frostmoon Scions are a strange and mysterious group who live out in the forests around Nod-Krai. They worship a moon deity and even build statues of said deity. Second, Nod-Krai once had ambitious plans for development, but now all that you can see are scraps. Third, not just one but multiple harbingers are rumored to be present, and most recently the Fatui were bringing in a ton of construction materials into Nod-Krai. And finally, similar to the secret source automatons in Natlan, Nod-Krai has many of them as well, but they are not functional. Let's unpack all of this information. The ancient power mavuika was talking about is probably the same power that the Frostmoon Scions are able to use. And since they worship a moon deity, this power is likely connected to the moons. It's also clear that Dottore is trying to study the ancient moons and the powers related to them, so as for the reason he chose Nod-Krai specifically for his base of operations, it probably has something to do with the power held by the Frostmoon Scions. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we find out that some of them have become test subjects for his recent experiments. So what role do the ancient moon remnants play in this entire thing? mavuika states that they are relics of secret source technology from the era of the dragons, which means that these moons were artificially created using secret source technology. The dragons are said to have been an incredibly advanced civilization, even having had, in modern terms, spaceships. So, them having built artificial satellites aligns pretty well. In the tale of the three moon sisters, Arya, Canon, and Sonnet were the three goddesses that represented the moons. This moon deity that the Frostmoon Scions worship could be one of those moon sisters. However, I doubt that these deities actually exist. From the tale of the three moon sisters, it sounds like the sisters were just the moons but personified for the sake of the story. It's also very possible that the moon deity that the Frostmoon Scions worship is just a personification of one of the moons, given that very few people are actually aware of the unnatural origins of the ancient moons. From the story, we know that at least two of the sisters are dead, which we can translate to two of the moons being destroyed, and it's said that the corpse of one of them is supposed to be the one shining in the sky. But since we know the sky of Teyvat isn't real, the moon that we see in the sky might be what one of the moons may have looked like before it was destroyed. And if the power that the Frostmoon Scions are able to use is actually a power related to the moons, then this power may actually have its origins to the ancient dragons of Teyvat. Now, coming back to the Fatui and Nod-Krai, Helka did say that they were bringing in a lot of construction materials, so the Fatui are definitely constructing something, and it's probably connected to secret source technology. This mysterious power possessed by the Frostmoon Scions might be the key to power this big mechanism. From the description of one of the ruin machines, it states that the inscriptions on them are the key to powering them, so perhaps similar inscriptions can be found on the Frostmoon Scions, serving as the source of their power. But how did they find these? We know that there were a lot of broken down secret source automatons in Nod-Krai, so said inscriptions could be uncovered from those. But how did the secret source machines even end up in Nod-Krai? We are only able to see them in Natlan, so how did they randomly appear in Snezhnaya? This could be related to the ancient moons. In Natlan, you can find a small moon fragment, although there isn't really much interesting about it. So it's possible that there could be more such fragments across Teyvat. Since the moons were created using secret source technology, another fragment could have been found in Nod-Krai, one much larger and significant. There could have been secret source automatons on the moon, so when it was destroyed and the moon fragment came crashing down onto what is now Nod-Krai, it could have brought some of the machines with it, and the impact destroyed them and made them unusable. And the final point, if Dottore is not the only harbinger present in Nod-Krai as implied by Helka, then who else could be there? Pantalone is very likely, since he's known to work closely with the Doctor and may also have potential ties to the Voynich Guild in Nod-Krai. The next one could be Sandrone. According to both Child and Wanderer, Sandrone is said to be super engrossed in her research regarding automatons. Nod-Krai seems to have a lot of secret source automatons, albeit not functional. That, and considering how the Fatui may be planning to be building a machine there, and the fact that she quite literally rides a modified ruin guard, it may be the prime location for her to conduct her research. Columbina is also a very likely choice. A popular theory about her is that she is an angel, similar to the Lord of the Night Kingdom and the Goddess of Flowers. If that's the case, she may have a lot of insight as to what lies beyond the false sky, which could make her a vital player in Nod-Krai. With that said, we are still a long way out till we go and venture there, so there's probably a lot more information we are going to find out about Nod-Krai in the coming months, so stay tuned because I'll be going through all of that when it all comes along. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. Also, if you haven't already, consider watching my other video on Nod-Krai where I talk about Nod-Krai's unique structure, from the state of its autonomy to the Voynich Guild. Thank you for watching.